Pre-selling is very good for people that are starting up their real estate investment portfolio because you actually don't need to shell out that much cash. You are giving out a very low cash exposure, which means that you can actually enter into other investment forms. If you're, for example, doing a business, you can only take so much or do so much of your time. And a real estate investment is also like a passive investment wherein as time goes by, even if you don't actually do so much on it, it appreciates. Especially now, during the pandemic, a lot of developers are offering good payment schemes. So this is actually the best time for you to jump into your first real estate investment. Three major considerations, and that is the location, location, location. Everything else is basically secondary. Always bear in mind that where the property stands, the neighboring development should be being developed also, or at least in an area wherein it's already fully bloomed. That's number one, the location. And of course, you have to look at the developer as well. It has to be reputable, because you don't want to invest into a developer and the next thing you know, they were not able to deliver what is expected. Other developers are very good in creating a plan. The master plan is good, but even if they have delivered to you the property, but then after it has been delivered, you were left with nothing. We have to look at historical data of the developers and other previous developments they had. Another key in property that appreciates is property management. One secret why the property maintains its value, it's because of how the developer manages. For example, the building facade and the homeowners association, all of these things actually adds up to a good development. Presently, you would notice that a lot of developers are offering good payment terms. Why? Because they need to move their inventory. If they don't move their inventory, that would cause for projects to be delayed because their cash flows are stuck. So you have to be very careful. If you look at it in a positive way, this pandemic gives us a leverage in investing. Pre-pandemic situation requires a minimum of 20% down payment. But right now, that 20% can be stretched during the construction period. That means that you have 4 to 5 years to spread that payment term, which makes it more affordable for the market. But you have to also look at what would be the supply by the time it's turned over. Okay? So you have to be very careful in choosing which property to invest on, the developer, and as I've mentioned earlier, the location, location, location. For me, it's very important that you are imagining yourself to be living in that property you are investing in. Because what if you don't actually sell it? Or if you are positioning it in a way that it's an investment, what if you don't sell it or you don't lease it out by the time it's turned over, right? So you should be able to first imagine yourself living in the property. Secondary is the investment side. It's a good thing if the market is good, then you can easily rent it out or sell it in the future. But at the same time, if worst comes to worst, then you'll be able to live in the property. Like for me, for example, with the kind of investment portfolio that I have, when I was starting, I always just buy on the pre-selling, and then 4 years, 5 years after, without you knowing it, it's already there. You don't even notice it because it's actually one way to leverage your cash. I mean, it's good that you're working, and these money that you're earning along the way on a yearly basis, for example, adds up. If you just keep them in the bank, 2-3% of interest rates is really nothing when you do the math. But if you invest it into real estate, 8 to 12% per annum is a very conservative projections. And this will give you in 4 to 5 years, 60% of appreciation or growth in terms of your investment. So for example, a project worth 30 million pesos or the total contract price of 30 million pesos. And for easier math, let's just average it out at 10% growth per annum. So if the property will be turned over in 4 years, that means that the growth is about 40% of the total contract price, which means 40% of 30 million is actually 12 million pesos. And if your total cash out is only 20% of 30 million, which means 6 million pesos, that means that by the time it's turned over, the growth of your property is already at 200%. Nobody gives you any investment forms with that high percentage of growth.